So at this point I have a series of tutorials on Xcode and a series on Objective-C, and we have learned enough of that so we can move on to writing iPhone applications. So in this third application we're going to build a small application using Xcode capability we learned, Objective-C, and also use this all of this to learn about property lists. What is property list, how to use it, etc. In order to showcase that capability, I'm going to build a little application, and basically you have a key value thing going on over here. You have a key, you have a value, you want to write it. It'll write it out. Read will read it back in. Oh, sorry, I'm going to write it, then I'm going to close the application, restart the application, read it. Now whatever you typed will be read back and displayed in the key value. So it's like a property list is a list to store one or two or a number of key value pairs and persist what your user was doing, something like that. So basically we'll combine all of this capability, our knowledge of Xcode, Objective-C, and we'll be continue our journey learning Cocoa Touch now. So basically, as I type, you see it spit out SS and read back STS, the key. So that's what we're going to do. Start by making a new application. Single view application. Next. First type of phone app. Organization, we're going to leave at that. Device. So here I can select for iPhone, iPad, or universal. We're going to stick with simplicity right now and iPhone only. Use storyboards as the new feature. We're not going to use it because it's a simple application, one page. Use automatic reference counting. ARC, yes, so we don't have to write a lot of code managing memory. Include unit tests. No, we are not going to get into it. Create local Git repository. Yeah. Now I'm going to go for my nib file first of all, and right here in the utility areas, second portion, objects, this click here and objects, I'm gonna get two buttons, round rectangular button. I'm gonna put one here, and I'm gonna find where I can change its name. Instead of saying button, I want it to say right. Put another button here, read. So basically I'm gonna create two buttons. One's gonna write, the other one's gonna read. What is it going to read? I'm gonna put a text box right there and another text box right there. I'm gonna move these things over and put two labels here. I'm going to change this label to say key. Value. See, value is too long to fit in there. So I can just, as I hover over it, I can click and drag. I'm going to click it and use my right arrow key to move it a little bit. Click here, I'm using my right arrow key, or you could drag with your keyboard, with your mouse. So basically what's going to happen is I'm going to write a key and a value, store it into a NS dictionary, store the NS dictionary into an NS array. Write will write it down to a plist, and read is going to read the plist and put it back in here. So basically this lesson is about a number of things. First of all, creating an application, putting different objects there, wiring them up, IB action, IB outlets, then some Objective-C, throw that in there, how to create, and then also we're going to get into Cocoa Touch library, like the plist and other things. What is a plist and how does it work? So that's what the whole lesson is all about. So now let's wire. We have two text boxes and two buttons. We need an IB action for each of the text boxes so we can access it in the code behind. For read and write, we need two IB actions, IB outlets, IB actions for buttons. How do I do that? I click here. Now in my Xcode tutorials I go over it in detail, but I'm going to do it again. I need this button right there. Files owner. Click here. Then I'm going to find the appropriate location. There we go. This is the connections inspector. Step number 3, I want to open the... Nope. Now this is a little tricky, but I think right here. Assistant editor. There we go. So I'm going to move this a little bit this way. So I want to... Okay, now I'm done with that. I'm going to move this a little bit this way, so I can see this, and that. Now what I want is new referencing outlet. I'm going to click here. Now that I have all this set up, I have clicked here. You see, as I click over there, that changes. Go back, look at my Xcode tutorials, where I go in much more detail. But click the button, files owner, text box, new referencing outlet, plus sign, click and drag, insert outlet, key, my key, whatever we call it, my key. Value, text box, new referencing outlet, drag that up here. My value, click the right button, touch up inside will be create a IB action, drag that away. Insert action, yeah. My right, read, touch up inside, insert action. Basically I'm clicking and dragging. My read. There you go. Now we have wired up all the text boxes and click buttons. Now if I click on you see this is viewcontroller.h, right? So viewcontroller.h, viewcontroller.m. So I'm going to click on that, so I see viewcontroller.m, viewcontroller.h side by side. It did a lot of things for me. It actually is ready. You see my right and my, I misspelled it, my read. So let's take this opportunity and look at the refactoring capability. I'm going to double click here, right click, refactor, rename, my read. Need one or more colon to match the original. Okay. Preview. Let's see what will it change. It's going to change that in. Okay, so it's going to just change one thing here. Enable. Okay, it did change it. You see, refactoring capability. It changed my interface. It changed it here as well. So that's nice. Next, IB actions are taken care of for me, but the property isn't. So what I need is right here, add synthesize. Add synthesize. Which one? My key. So the text editor knows at this point what it can help me with. My value. Yes. So now I can, in here, should be able to access it. Self space my key and my value are accessible, have become accessible properties. I wish that automatic linking that we did when we created the IB outlet would do that as well. There must be some reason. So you have to type add synthesize my key, add synthesize my value for each one of the IB outlets by hand. Once you have it, we are pretty much all set. So I'm going to type ns log at colon actually percent at my key. She'll spit that out just to see if it all works. I'm gonna run this application and see if we got the basic structure right. It's gonna log my ns key. Now let's get to property lists and see what the property list or plist is, and make it, store it, and read it back. So in the writer, I'm gonna make an instance of a mutable array called dictionaries, and I'm gonna make an instance of a mutable dictionary called dictionary. Now dictionary, I'm going to make a new instance, initialize it, and set its value to whatever the my value text is, and its key to whatever the text in my key text box is. I'm gonna add that dictionary to the dictionaries array, and then on dictionaries I'm gonna say write it to this file atomically. Yes, temp store list.plist, it's gonna get written to that file. Then the read function is gonna make an instant of ns array with contents of file, the same one I had up there. It's going to read that array, load it up, reconstruct it. Then I can use a for loop. Now here's a new technique again for you. For a looping through an array has dictionaries, right? So I'm going to say for each dictionary, I'm going to know it as D. In dictionaries, what do? My key set its text to whatever I'm going to type in the text box. This time I'm going to tell it, I'm going to give it that name. And then I'm going to set the text of my value by taking the dictionary object, fetch the key using whatever the key I type in the my key text box, so I can see it again. So if here I have the capability of typing in a text box what the key is. So let's look at it for a second. I am going to come up here. I'm going to say my key is A and its value is VAL, and I'm going to write it. Now I am going to shut down this application, run it again. I'm say there was no B. It was not B, it was A, right? So I'm going to read it. Nothing shows up because it was A before. I stored a key A in there. Read it, now it reads it back. So that's what's going on in in here. So that's your code, how to create the plist. Working with arrays, dictionaries, writing it to a file to persist it, read it back, and set and read the values of text boxes.